Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dakota. Again, this is for Revolvers, SDI Revolvers class. This week is week 5. Our assignment this week, this is the end of the Revolvers segment. Our assignment this week was to demonstrate a couple things, show some key learning points, and then also discuss what we feel are the unique features found within a double action revolver. So starting off, part 1 was show and describe all the areas in your revolver that are of particular interest when inspecting the health of the firearm. So I'll start off, this firearm has been cleared. There's nothing inside of the cylinder, nothing inside of the barrel, the bore. You see light through there. So that's clear, and there's no ammunition or anything in the workspace. So some key things to look at when doing revolvers. Any kind of a health check or anything on this. So number 1 would be that everything feels tight. You want everything to be tight on this revolver because you don't want nothing to be loose. That way when you're shooting it, recoil can tend to want to make things jar more, make things kind of pop out. You don't want it falling off on you while you're shooting this thing in the range or wherever you shoot at. Another thing would be, obviously cylinder health. Your cylinder is what holds your rounds, does a lot of the head spacing and the timing. If the cylinder is messed up in any way, like your little notches on the back here that your hand uses to push around, make the cylinder rotate, if any of that stuff's messed up, it's not going to work properly. Could definitely cause some major issues. Another thing would be your hammer. Always make sure that your hammer properly goes forward and backwards. You don't want anything hanging up in there and you go to clear it and then all of a sudden the hammer slips forward and causes a negligent discharge. That's another big no-no. Always make sure that your release is working properly, because without your release you can't release your cylinder. Another thing I would say too is make sure that your plunger works properly so that you can eject your shell casings. You're not sitting there digging around, marring up the firearm, trying to pry those out of there, whatever have you. And I would say the number 1 thing would always be your bore health. So many accidents happen with people getting hurt using their own firearm by the bore getting lodged with something, or people don't care for their revolvers properly, so they get rust and build up in here, and it causes a lot of issues when you go to fire, and basically it can be fatal, as anything with a firearm can. These things are not toys; they're very much tools, and they're tools that should be properly respected at all times. So. Just those few little things, and there's more I'm sure I'm missing, but we could be here all day talking about key things to worry about. But just mainly the action stuff in here. Take the side plate off. You have all your internals in there. Your springs are good. They should always be good. Your hammer block, all that good stuff. Everything should be good inside here. So always give these things a proper check. Obviously you don't want to take it apart all the time because you can wear out the screws that hold the side plate on and all that good stuff. But whenever you go to do a deep cleaning on these, always make sure you check everything properly. So let's see here. 10 learning experiences. For me, revolvers was a whole new course. I didn't know much about revolvers beforehand, other than the fact that I own one that my grandfather had. I've owned a couple just through trading and whatnot, just trying to have different things and shoot different things. Because that's what we like to do as gun enthusiasts. We like to have different things and see different things work. And my mind always wonders as a mechanic, how things work and so on and so forth. So one of the things that really piqued my interest was the revolver history. Learning about how revolvers came about, what type of things, made revolvers what they are today. The other thing would be the revolver styles. There's so many different revolver styles. There's not just one. There's different frame shapes. There's different actions. There's different ways that you can load and reload. There's different ways that you shoot single versus double action, and so on and so forth. Barrel lengths, grip lengths, so on and so forth. I mean, there's so many different variants out there. Probably one of the most various. I don't know how to put that. Probably one of the firearms that has more more variants. That's a great way to say it. The most well-varianted firearm out there. And they've been around for a very long time. Revolver disassembly. I had absolutely no idea how to disassemble one of these. The only way that I would clean these before or even check on anything would be shoving a cleaning rod through the bore and cleaning the bores on the cylinder and adding a little oil down here where I know the disengage and all that good stuff was. So just so everything would move properly. That's all I knew about disassembly. There's a whole lot more to that. And I'm glad I learned that in this course. Parts. You don't realize how many parts are in a revolver until you get into taking this thing completely apart and putting it back together. Once you get this side plate off, it's a whole different ball game. There's a lot more parts in here than you think there is. It's not just a trigger, a hammer, and a rotating cylinder. It's a lot more than that. So that right there was a good one for me. Actions. The actions on these, double action versus single action, where single action you simply have to cock the hammer and then pull the trigger every time, or you have double action where you can pull the trigger and it'll set the hammer for you, or you can pull the hammer back and it has a lighter trigger, so on and so forth. That was a neat concept for me, because before this, like I said, I had only owned one revolver. Actually, no, I've owned two. I have an old Smith & Wesson 38 that was my grandfather's, and then I actually owned a Taurus Judge. Still have both really great pistols. But that's all I knew, and they were both double action. I've never messed with a single action pistol, anything like that. So that was neat to me. Revolver timing. I'm all about safety. That is a very detrimental safety thing with these, and learning how to deal with timing and all that good stuff. Because if you get the wrong timing, again, it could be fatal. Head spacing, again, another safety feature. I kind of knew that revolvers were somewhat timed. I didn't know about the head spacing feature of this. I just kind of figured, if you make the cylinder the proper way and everything's machined properly, that this would sit properly. So head spacing was a big ordeal for me. Trigger and action smoothness, learning how to make these things smoother. When these things come from factory, they're mass produced parts, so on and so forth. Not everything is machined the way it should be. So everything gets kind of crunchy. So, being able to take this from what it was when I first got this revolver, and you go to pull this back, man, it sounded like gritty sandpaper in there. And within the last module, took the side plate off, found a couple of war parts, put some labbing compound on there, put it back together, cycled it, found what it was, and was able to smooth those out with a file. So super, super good to learn. Let's see. Crown dressing, being able to make sure that your crown and everything stays nice and smooth. It also helps with accuracy, so on and so forth. Just all those things tied together makes you a better gunsmith, because knowing those things is going to help you be able to take these firearms and make them better from the customer from day one, or fixing something that was just messed up through overtime use. So they're just very detrimental. I think I hit 10 key points there. If not, I'm sorry. I got to move on to the next step because I'm at 8:30 and I only got 10 minutes to do this. So moving kind of quickly here, so I apologize. Discuss what you feel are the unique features that are found within the double action revolver platform, like the one that you received as part of the course. Articulate how those have developed over time and what they do for the ultimate performance of the firearm. Well, one thing that I know on double action revolvers that just is just gotten better over time in general on revolvers is just the body shape of these. Some of them had really weird angles. Your hand was kind of way up here holding it and kind of arched forward. Whenever you shoot these, the recoil would go back and it would push into the top of your hand versus kind of pushing into the center part of your hand right here, where it can mitigate the most recoil without having the most muzzle flip. Those sorts of things. The timing and ratcheting systems on these, they're bar none. They're nice. The parts, I think, have gotten made better over the years. Some of this stuff is made out of really well built steel. The barrels and rifling over the years in these revolvers has just it's gone bar none to a better standard. For the longest time in the revolver scene, we didn't have rifling, so. that's about it. That's where I'm at for this week. So we'll see you guys in the next course. We're going to striker fired pistols next. So we'll see you guys there. Thank you.